There we go. Now you should be able to hear us.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go. The hallmarks of a professional streamer. Hi Jampot and hi Zapri. All good now. So this is Alex, aka Cat, and we're building his board today. And so Alex has come down from London and we're going to build up his KBD75. So I was just showing here, this is the KBD75 Rev 2 PCB and we've got a lovely brass plate to go along with it. So let's just have a look. Obviously before Alex takes this back home with him, we'll give it a quick disinfect off so that he's all safe. So this is the plate. It's quite a nice plate. It's in the packaging still at the moment. We'll take it out when we need to. It's nice. There's a few, you can see that, I'll pull it out a little bit. Getting it in view, come on. Does not want to focus. You can see that it's got a brushed finish there. It's quite a nice brush finish. So we'll leave it in the packet for now. Yeah, it is a nice board, isn't it, Jan? So put this down over here for now. So I'm just going to take the actual board out. So, oh, you got some stabs as well.
Yeah, I think they came with the whole kit.
So what we've got here is we have got a lovely, sorry, I'm trying to get the focus. We've got a lovely silver KBD KBD75 Rev 2. So you can see the bottom piece there. So I'm trying to hold it as little as possible here. But you can see that we've got the acrylic piece in the middle there. So we've got a nice acrylic piece and that beautiful bottom with the wave on the bottom. It's got some decent weight to it. I think the old one was slightly heavier because it had a brass weight on the underside. So this one's slightly lighter. But to be fair, once you've got the brass plate in and everything like that, it's not going to move anyway. So it's decent. And we'll just have a look at the. Sorry, if I'll put this on top of this. We've got all of the accessories here as well. So we'll just put this down here. So you've got all of the screws. So that's something that we're going to need in our build. So we'll put these off to the side. We've got 4 rubber case feet. We're going to need those as well. And then we've got a set of stabilizers. To be fair, they don't look like they're genuine cherry stabs, to be fair. They look a little bit suspect here and there. So we're not going to be using these either way. We've got some Duroc stabs. I don't know where the focus point is. It doesn't seem to want to focus. So we've got some Duroc stabs which I've already pre-lubed. Had a couple of people say that I waste too much time lubing stuff, so we're not going to be lubing them today. So we're not going to use these. These can go in the pile of stuff that is just off the table. And they've also sent a nice KBD fans sticker. So we'll keep that in the box. So in fact what we'll do is we'll put these parts in here for now because we're not going to be working on the actual case or anything like that for a little bit. We're going to come on to that in a little bit. Unfortunately the stabs aren't fantastic. I got some Duroc stabs for mine as well. A good choice. Yeah, when Alex was messaging me I said to him that to get some Duroc stabs or some C3 ones.
So what is the difference between good stabs and the typical ones that come with kits and stuff?
So the like for instance these have got a lot better tolerances. So the ones that are in the bag down there, you'll probably find that there's no easy way of showing this actually. I'll have to show you on the old ones. So guys, this is a bit of a sort of a learning stream for Alex at the same time here. because this is your first keyboard, isn't it?
Yeah, my first custom mechanical keyboard. I do have a couple of mechanical keyboards, but nothing that I've built myself.
So, if you see in here, there's a hole, this bottom hole here.
Yeah.
Normally what you find is this bottom hole is much larger on these ones, sort of the fake, the cheaper ones, than you find on there. So it inhibits more rattle.
Right.
Because of that. And so it allows the stem to move around. So guys, what I'm just showing him here is, I'm just showing him, oh, hi Butterface23, thank you for the follow. So I'm just showing him the actual the slider, and I'm just showing the size of the hole that's, can't find the focus, it doesn't want to find focus today. So I'm just showing him the little hole that's on the stabs, and what you generally find is that number one, the tolerances are way off, but you normally also find that the plastic's a little bit rougher. So if you notice, there's like little where they've injection molded it, like the screw marks and stuff like that. And so you generally find like you've got this ridge that runs all the way along.
Yeah.
So on this, guys, there's a ridge that runs all the way along. You'll generally find that causes more friction.
Right.
And so number one, you've got more rattle and you've got more friction. So the stabs aren't nearly as good. Whereas the Duroc ones, you'll find that they're made of a better quality plastic. The tolerances are a lot tighter, and they're going to have thought out where to put the injection moulding, sort of where the two halves meet. So they might not put it on the side, they might put it on the front instead, where there's less friction.
Right.
And they'll also clean that up as well, so they'll chemically clean it up. Whereas these, they're just as cheaply as they can make them, send them out from the factory sort of thing. And then the next thing that you'll find is with the actual wire itself. So you've got the wire here. You'll generally find that they'll go for the cheapest, thinnest wire that they can get. And sometimes you find that they're not even straight, the wires. They'll bend them and they'll be slightly crooked. And because you've got that crookedness in there, when you put the keycap on, it'll never sit flat. It'll always sit at a slight angle, and so it'll always be a bit wonky.
Oh, that would annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah, I've had it a few times, and it's not a nice feeling. And so there's three big companies that do stabs now. So you've got C3. C3 are great, but they're very, very tight tolerances, and so you find that on some keycaps they're too tight, and you can actually damage some cat sets of keycaps. You've then got Duroc, and Duroc are just clones of Zeals. So Zeal made the original see-through stabilizers, and Duroc have actually just taken the molds and they've just made the exact copy of what he's doing. And you can find that in the switches as well. They've got I can't remember what the L1 to 9 switches. They're identical ones to his Telios.
Oh, okay.
They're point for point copies. So Zunet, hello there. Nice surprise. Stream on a sunny Sunday afternoon. Was looking to build a KBD myself, so I'll enjoy watching. So you got another person that's going to be building one of them. I will mention these are very popular boards. KBD fans have been bringing out a lot of really good stuff. I mentioned to you before the stream that the anode process that they're doing is way better than it used to be. You're getting on par for, like, it beats my Mech 27 when I originally got it. The anode on this was terrible, and this was a £400 keyboard.
Wow.
And a couple of the boards back there, same sort of thing. That they've been since these two here. Yeah. They've since been powder coated, and it was because they both had terrible anode finishes, and they're like the cases. Just the case alone on one of them is the same price as your kit.
Wow, that's crazy.
So the quality of KBD fans has come right the way up. For a starter board, I can't recommend Tofu or KBD75 enough. My top and bottom black anode is pretty much perfect. Yeah, it's exactly what we saw with this as well. It's a near perfect anode. So what we're going to do is, we've got some switches. So just off the screen here, I've lubed and not spring swapped. These are the original cream springs, but I have lubed the actual cream springs that are in there. So the actual switch housings and the stems have been lubed with 205 grade 0, and the springs have been lubed with 106. I'm gonna have to keep pulling this up. Have been lubed with 106, and so they've become a very smooth switch. But I mentioned to Alex before that there is a break-in time with creams, and so as he uses them, they will get even smoother. Lube will find its sort of spot in the switch, but when you lube a switch, you put it up all of one side,
right.
and you generally find that it'll move about, it'll get into the cracks. And it'll
kind of settle where it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly that. And then the other point with creams is the surface slowly breaks in over time, and so they go from a leathery feeling to a very smooth finish.
Right.
And I mean, within a week of use, you'll find that they feel way smoother. And for those that don't know, Alex used to be a professional League of Legends player, so I was saying to him before that QW, E and R will probably become very smooth very quickly.
Yeah.
And F if he's like using F or D or
yeah, I mean both of them probably.
So they'll become very smooth, but the one thing that you want to just do is just do some typing tests, because that will stress the sort of most of the letters, the alphas out.
Yep.
So you can break those in a bit quicker. And if you're bad at typing like me, you'll break in the backspace pretty quick as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to get the stabilizers in place. So we're going to move this out of the way for a second. I keep moving things in and out of the screen here. So, as I mentioned before, we have done a little layout test and check to make sure that the PCB is all working beforehand. So I won't check it now. But what we're going to do is we also tried a little bit of hockey tape out on this. So we're going to be hockey tape modding this. So we're going to put some hockey tape down onto the keys that need to be stabilised. So we're going to be using ISO UK layout. So we need to hockey tape mod the backspace, the ISO enter, and the space bar. Because the right shift isn't stabilised, we don't need to do that. And obviously because we're not using ANSI, we don't need to do that one either. So should all be good. So throughout the stream today, I'm going to have some questions for Alex. I've got some questions on my other screen here, and we're going to ask some questions of him. And so the first question is a fairly easy one, and something that we've already slightly mentioned. But what do you do for a job?
Well, so I'm a network engineer, but I can pretty much cover most of what the IT needs of the company actually need, since our team isn't big and the company isn't big. But yeah, I pretty much just fix everything from really basic problems to managing VMs and making sure everything in our company is working fine. But yeah, I wasn't actually sure what I wanted to do, because in university networking wasn't my strongest suit. But I ended up working a support role after graduated, and I kind of liked the networking side of it. I didn't really want to deal with too many users and be the kind of first line kind of direct contact, so I wanted to specialize a bit more, so that's why I went to networking. And yeah, it's quite fun. It's a nice job, and I kind of get to do all my OCD cable management, and I get left alone to do my own thing. So yeah.
So you've taken on that moniker of the grumpy IT admin, have you?
Yes. Actually, a lot of people said at my old job when I left they're gonna miss the energy I bring to the team a lot. But I always thought that I was kind of the grumpy guy that doesn't want to talk to anyone in the morning. But yeah.
Well, you obviously proved them wrong, and normal stereotypes of a IT admin.
Yeah.
Oh no, but that's cool. I mean, so the guys know I do a very similar job to Alex. We're sort of both IT network guys, and he does a very similar job to me of sort of like you put on lots and lots of hats of one day you might be sorting out Excel spreadsheets, and then the next day you might be recabling a whole server cabinet.
Yeah.
It's one of those jobs where it's very fluid on sort of your job role, really.
Yeah, exactly. But I kind of like that though, just because you get to touch a lot of different sectors of IT, and you don't have to be doing the same thing every day, and it's not just monotone. So that's why I kind of like where I am, and because I thought about working for a big company, but I think I'll just be if I did happen, I might have more chances to have a better salary, get promotions and stuff, but I don't think I would enjoy it as much, just because you wouldn't be able to kind of have like relationships with your colleagues as close as you do in a smaller company. So
I know exactly what you mean. You also have that feeling of not a family aspect, but it's where people understand things a little bit better. I think in bigger companies things get lost quite quickly.
Exactly.
You've got this sort of chain of emails that happens, and
nothing really gets done.
Yeah, nothing really gets done. There's an awful lot of sort of busy work that happens, and I do also think that in a smaller company, the things that you do and the work that you do is a little bit more. People are more grateful for it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's sort of, if you end up having to spend a weekend, it's not like it just gets swept under the rug that you worked that weekend or something. It's nice to know that you're appreciated, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we might have to put a rubber, so you can see here, this one is just touching one of the pads, so we might have to put a little O-ring on there, but I can put that in after the stream.
Sure.
Simply because I think it might bridge or otherwise sort of short it. So Zapri was saying earlier that he said ISO, the correct choice. So how come you decided to go for ISO rather than ANSI? Is it just a...
Well, it's I mean, it's not a huge difference to me, but I just find myself that I just much prefer the huge enter key.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know, I don't really use the difference in the ANSI keys. I don't really use those keys as much as I do when I work in my job in the office. We all use obviously ISO keys, layouts, and I think I just much prefer that for productivity.
Okay.
And then when I go home, I end up trying to use an ISO layout on a ANSI keyboard, and I just get annoyed at myself. So I think that's just why. But to be honest, it's not a huge difference. But it's just it's just a super nice to have thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're building your own custom keyboard, then sort of why not, really?
Yeah.
So Wado is saying ANSI is better than ISO, and that's a tall claim for somebody that's in the UK community and on the UK server. I was once admin of the UK server, and if I was still admin, that would be a bannable offence.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, True Lucifer. How you doing?
Hey man, how's it going? Oh, it's one of my friends.
That's one of your friends.
Yeah.
Is it? So this is one of your league friends, is it?
Yeah, one of my league friends, because I have I opened up a Discord server about 4 or 5 years ago, just to help people who want to learn how to play League and coach students and stuff. So if anyone wanted free coaching, they could come to the server, and we would have coaches on hand that will also have an ELO requirement. So
sorry, everything is making noise. Sorry, I might well just shut that window quickly. It'll get a bit warm in here, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, my wife's hoovering in one side and the neighbours are cutting the lawn on the other.
But yeah, that's what the server did, and it was just it was good for a lot of people who just wanted to learn to play League and just make some new friends as well. Because when I was growing up in a small village before I moved to London, I didn't know that many people who played League. I had maybe 2 or 3 real life friends that played League.
Okay.
So it's really difficult to really connect with people, and I thought it would just be nice to have a community like that. So yeah, that's where he's from. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So I noticed somebody in here, Wedo, asked, what role do you play in League?
So I mainly play mid, but I kind of play everything. I have an account for every role, so just depending on how I feel, if I want to play top lane, I'll play on my top lane account. And I usually try to get all of them to at least masters every season, but it's this season I've been a bit lazy. I've just been kind of not try-harding as much. And obviously in Master Tier you have decay, so you have to play 1 game every day. So that can be difficult when you go on holiday, or you take time off, or you're just too busy. So
you have like 5 accounts, do you? Like, sort of.
Oh yeah, I have way more than 5 accounts, but
okay.
but yeah, that's mainly what I play on. But it's just I think it's just a bit of fun, because I feel like if you play other roles as well, it makes you better at your main role.
Yeah.
Because you kind of have more understanding on what role wants to do and what that role kind of needs from your main role. So I always tell people when they want to climb, just to play other roles, because it will help your main role. And I think like it's just part of the fun as well, because obviously I've invested a lot of time into League, right? And if you play another role, you kind of enjoy the aspects of that role, and then it doesn't get too insufferable.
Yeah.
Playing the same role and being angry at the same things. So.
Well, I've always had I said to you before, I'm no good at playing League, but I've never actually played, I've never mained one solid role. It's always been, if I'm playing with my mates, it'll always be sort of like I'll be playing bot lane, ADC or support, and one of them would be playing jungle, and I'll just think to myself like, all right, you're playing jungle like crap, I'm going to play jungle next game.
Yeah.
And so we end up going through that sort of mentality of like I'll play jungle next, and so because of that you sort of get a good footing on all the different lanes and stuff like that, and how, as you say, how people want to be able to, maybe they don't want to farm, but maybe the jungler doesn't want to gank because he wants to get 6 as soon as possible. So Jampot said he thought he could hear a Hoover. So I was reading the previous line there. How many cancerous tumours have you gained since beginning playing it? The League of Legends is fairly cancerous at times. It's a fairly toxic community, but
I mean, I do feel like it's toxic, but at the same time, I feel like I'm quite chill when it comes to it. I'm not someone that gets chat bans or gets too upset about things, because I feel like when I play League, obviously when I played more competitive, I was taught to look at everything really logically. So it wasn't really about getting angry at your teammates, but what I could have done better. So
you might want to just explain that, because Wedo might not, and some of the guys might not know. So when you mean competitive, what do you mean?
So yeah, when I first joined my university, we played some. I joined the university team, and it was just a bit of fun. But then we ended up going to competitions and winning a lot. So ended up getting tryouts to some competitive teams. I did have tryouts for Fnatic at one point.
Ooh.
And that's where I met Whippo. And he's such a nice guy in person as well. His brother's a huge dick, but he's such a nice guy, and he's everything like he is in League. So you just really can't hate him for any reason. But yeah, and then after I did some more tryouts, I played for a few teams, and I didn't really settle down because I had a lot of wrist injuries, and it was kind of mentally draining a lot, because you can imagine solo queue is mentally draining already. Imagine having to do that for a job. So I gave it up, and yeah, but I feel like I'm much happier now just playing it for fun and not getting angry. But but for a lot of people it is kind of like a dream come true. So I'm really grateful for that.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as you said before when we were talking on the way back here, that you feel a lot more relaxed, doing the job that you're doing now. It's a I can't remember what the word is. It's a lot less, not stressful, but a lot more secure, I guess.
Stable.
Yeah, stable. So you'll notice little bits of plastic coming off here. Because creams are so much tighter, you generally find that these little bits of plastic shear off as you push them into the plate.
Right.
Realistically, they're not used for anything other than retaining it onto there. But because they're so tight, it's always been a problem with creams. So you'll see little bits of plastic. So you'll probably see them fling out here and there every now and again.
You're the expert, right? So I'm not too worried. So, is there any reason why you do this before you solder the PCB?
Yeah. So what you generally want to do is you want to get the switches all flat, because when you push them in, they've got these little legs, and so you can see that they don't completely sit flat. And so all you want to do is you just want to put a few down, just to make sure that they're all seated nicely, and then you solder these down, and then you put the rest of them down and in place.
Right.
And it is literally just to make sure the plate is flat and it's sitting right. So we've got a few more people here. So Sabby Sab, big up UK. He says, Vogon says, sorry, watching the F1. So we're in the prime spot of F1.
Oh, really?
Did you watch any F1?
No, I'm not a huge fan, but I know my dad is, so he's always watching F1. He loves cars, and you know. So
you're telling me he's not watching our stream right now? He's watching the F1.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It is just that way, unfortunately. So Sabby Sab asks, who's that boy? Who's that e-boy with the mask on? So I think she's. If it's a he or a she, that you've already gained a fan here.
Well, I'm Alex. Just wanted to get a mechanical keyboard done. So came here, and yeah, it's nice to learn a lot about mechanical keyboards, because obviously I'm new to this, and I've seen all the nice pictures online, and just wanted to get something nice and obviously value orientated. So
yeah, it's definitely one of those things with mechanical keyboards, is it can become a endless pit very, very quickly.
Exactly.
You're going after Grail switches, and but when we first started talking, we were talking about the Satisfaction 75, and the way that pricing has gone with the Satisfaction 75 is mad, because it was a $400 keyboard. That was how much it was to buy originally, and they're selling, what was it, €1,000? I think the last one sold for.
I've seen the mech market, and I've seen them go for even more, like 1,200, like even way more. And I just feel like even if I was to spend that amount of money, to not be the first user of it it doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I think the community it's very that in some of that high end community, you spend a lot of money to be able to get these Halo tier products. Unfortunately, you spend a lot of money. So should get RTX voice to cancel out the random noises. Yeah, so we were actually talking about this before. I'm running two 980 Ti's in my system at the moment, but the 3080 is on that list of, and the 3070 for yourself as well. I mean, I guess League isn't that demanding, really, is it?
No, it's not. But I feel like once I get that, I'll be able to run games a lot better. And I think that at the moment for me, it's just that I run 3 monitors off my computer, so it strains the graphics card a lot. So I feel like once I get a 3070, it'll be a lot easier for me to run games, and I'll play probably some more AAA titles, because I did play a bit of Warzone when that was popular, and I do want to play Cyberpunk when it comes out. Obviously, everyone's waiting for it.
Yeah, everyone's waiting for Cyberpunk.
So yeah, that's what I'm excited for.
Oh, nice. I mean, we mentioned before. Sorry, I just put that in the wrong place. We mentioned before that they're coming out at a very, very good price, though, aren't they?
Yeah, it's crazy value. I don't really see it coming. I knew it was going to be a big performance gap because it was about time, really. But I just didn't see the value of it being so extreme compared to last generation, and I just feel sorry for everyone who bought the last generation, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, obviously, they were great, really, really great PCBs, really great cards, but obviously, with the new stuff being released. I didn't think they were going to bomb the previous generation that hard. I thought maybe the sort of 2080 would be sort of what would be just a little less than the 3080 sort of thing, and I didn't realise they were just going to absolutely wipe the previous lineup out. And I also the strange thing I thought as well is the pricing always seemed to stay at about £1,000 to about £1,200 for the 2080 Ti's.
Yeah.
They never really sort of brought them down very much. They always stayed at that sort of super premium price. And unfortunately, with the 3080 coming out, they sort of just wiped that market out pretty much.
Yeah.
Nobody's really going to buy any for the next few weeks, months. Nobody's really got any point of buying a 2080 Ti now.
That's true, but I think it's mostly just because probably a little pressure from AMD, because obviously they're releasing their graphics cards soon. Nobody knows how good they're going to be, but it feels like because AMD have been, releasing so many good products lately, that they're maybe a bit worried, a bit more pressure.
Yeah, I saw the what is it, RDNA 2 or whatever it is. Their stuff looks really good.
Yeah.
Obviously they've made a few missteps recently with like trying to push stuff out, and like what was it, their older graphics cards of like they're just leaving support for them pretty much now.
Yeah.
Like the Vega series cards.
I think the graphics cards did have a lot of issues in terms of drivers and stuff, and I didn't buy any AMD cards, but I heard from a lot of friends that they had lots of driver issues, which is probably annoying, but there's a lot more value in the AMD cards, so
yeah, a lot more value if you're willing to sort of tinker with them a bit more, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But I think everyone that's an enthusiast is probably going to go with Nvidia just because they're tried and true, and now that the value is so much better, then I think there's just no reason to go AMD or even. I mean, we don't know until they come out with the cards.
Yeah, when they release the cards, it'll be interesting to see if they are more powerful and if they are cheaper. They've got a great moment where they can come in £10 cheaper and 10% more powerful than the Nvidia cards at the moment. So what we're going to do, I'm gonna get soldering this. So you can see the iron over here. So you guys can't see it. It's at 280 degrees centigrade, and which is just a little bit more than what this melts at. And so all we're going to be doing is each of the pads that's here, we're just soldering the switch to it. So just creating a little joint, that's all. Okay. So I'm going to start going around the board and doing that, and then we'll put the rest of the switches in.
Cool.
There should be a few leftover switches. So generally you'll find that I think this uses something like 80 switches total, something like that. You've got 90 switches here. You'll generally find that 2 or 3 maybe are a bit shit.
Yeah.
It's just the way of they're making so many. You'll just generally find that 1 or 2 are rubbish. So we'll get that sorted.
Cool.
But we'll just catch up with chat because we're a little bit behind at the moment. So since 2010 and 2018, I just rotate roles all the time. Got fed up of just playing one role in particular. So that's Wado as well. So he's moving about in lead roles. So True Lucifer says, "Damn, this is a new experience. Watching a keyboard being built from scratch." Yeah, it's a different community entirely, I guess. If you're into watching league stuff and gaming related content. So Sabby Sab says, "The lad with a mask on, I bet he's so good at writing essays." So are you good at writing essays?
No, I am not good at writing essays.
Okay,
but I mean, you also have a mask on as well, so.
Oh, okay, yeah, I do, yeah. No, nor am I. Weno asks, his brother is such a huge dick. So I think this was
Whippo's brother. Yeah, I think the dude just has anger issues. Because there was a lot of times during scrims where he would just rage quit, and he would just he would tell everyone that they're delusional, and he would just go off on one with not just like his teammates but everyone else in the game, and it was just not a nice person. And it was weird because Whippo's the complete opposite of that, and they're both equally, they were both equally as good in League. They both hit Challenger when they were like 14 or something ridiculous like that. And then it was just weird to see how two people with probably the same upbringing turned out so different.
Just polar opposites.
Yeah, it's really weird because you wouldn't think that anyone, like if Whippo was part of your family, how could you ever be mad?
It does seem weird that the two people being brought up the same way, completely different, but maybe that's what League does to people. Maybe that's exactly what it does to people.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes people show their true kind of like nature, but it's just weird that it can be so polar opposite. What one thing that people could do before getting married to one another is just play a game of ranked with each other and see if they're compatible still afterwards. Yeah, I feel like I've made that mistake a lot with past girlfriends and stuff, and I think every guy always thinks, oh, it'd be nice to date someone who plays League so you could share hobbies, but then you quickly realize how that hurts relationships. And so I vowed to not date girls who play games just because my competitive nature does come out, and also I feel like that's my own time, that's time you share with your friends, with yourself.
Yeah.
So it might not be good to mix that with relationships.
No, that's probably a good call, to be fair. I mean, me and my other half, we play an awful lot of Minecraft together, and I can see my competitive nature coming out whilst we're playing Minecraft. I mean, it's like trying to build a base and telling her don't place the cobblestone there, place it over here.
Yeah.
It's like. But League is even worse than that, so.
Yeah, for sure.
True Lucifer asks, what switches are you going for?
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can take this one. Yeah. So we've got some NovelKey Cream switches in this build. So NovelKeys came out with the cream switches a little while ago, and they use what is it? I think it's POM. It's all POM housing, POM stems, everything. And when they first came out, they came out with critical acclaim. Everybody loved them because of how smooth they were, and they've just kept up with the same formula pretty much. They're a very popular switch. I mean, popularised by Tifu. He's got NovelKey Creams in his, I can't remember what it is. It's a Keycolt 65 or whatever it is. The one that he got specially done. And so we've gone with a sort of a similar sort of like idea. I've lubed them with 205 grade 0, so they're a bit smoother out of the box. But Alex is going to have a bit of time to be able to break the actual switches in. And so if you're coming into this completely dry and you don't know what a NovelKey Cream is, it's a linear switch. So I think they are 55 grams, 60 grams, something like that.
I think it's something like that. Yeah, I tried a few keycaps out before, and obviously when I first bought my first mechanical keyboard, and I used Razer switches, and I feel like they were garbage. And I used Cherry MX ones as well, but I just hated like a lot of the rattly kind of noises coming from keyboards, and so I looked on the custom market and I found that there was so many more switches that that I could use. So that's why we're here now.
Yeah, you suddenly realise how much of like the surface scratching when it comes to mechanical keyboard switches. Like when I first started, it was like I only wanted Cherry switches because I thought that was the premium brand of like premium tier of switches sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And then you quickly realise that you've got companies like Gateron and Kale and I should say Kaikwa and like Zeal and stuff like that, who are making incredible switches.
Yeah.
Much smoother, much better tolerances, and it's not made for the sort of the mass market of sort of Corsair like K70 users and like the Razer and stuff like that. I've used some of the Razer switches, the Razer oranges and the greens, and they're pretty terrible switches.
Yeah, they really are. I did have when I first started using my first mechanical keyboard, I think I had a Black Widow, and I think that's quite common for people's first mechanical keyboard. And
my first one was the Black Widow Tournament Edition.
Yeah. But I just felt like Corsair keyboards were a lot smoother, and I felt like they were just, I don't know what the word is. They just felt a lot more premium compared to like Razer's old plasticky kind of keyboards. I mean, now they release a lot better keyboards, and the Huntsman. I tried out the Huntsman, which is like a really good kind of like big market keyboard. Obviously, I'd much prefer custom keyboards because they have everything you could ever dream of. But I think the Huntsman's actually a really good keyboard for kind of like entry people just getting into mechanical keyboards. So I think some of the Razer stuff used to be really overpriced and really weak plastic and badly made, but now they make fairly decent stuff.
Yeah, I think the sort of gap between custom mechanical and sort of OEM off the shelf sort of stuff is that gap is decreasing in size all of the time. So you're looking at like Razer. It's only going to be a matter of time before they actually release a hot swap board of some sort, and they're going to start. I mean, they've got their own switches, but it'll only be a matter of time before they start pushing other switches, so Gateron switches. I'm mainly looking at like the glorious PC Master Race, like their keyboards and stuff like that. I mean, they're definitely looking at that lower end of the market, but there's definitely a core of people there that want good mechanical keyboards, but not to pay that sort of the premium prices that you see on Met Market and stuff like that.
I did think about getting the Master Off control keyboard, the bare bones version. And just getting pinman switches in, but I just felt like it just doesn't. It has a lot of the kind of the basic features that you want, but it doesn't really have kind of all the small things that kind of keyboards have, like like rotary encoders and just everything else, So I thought it would be good if I wanted to get into the custom mech market, but I felt like it was a bit too, I don't know, maybe just a bit too easy and not like personal enough. So I wanted to get something different.
Well, I think the community's filled with lots of people who sort of like that sort of tinkering aspect, that they want something that's their own. And I mean, like, over time you'll find that these creams become the smoothest switches that you've ever tried, and it will be your board that you've broken in and been able to build. And I think that's a real sort of like pull feature to mechanical keyboards. So I'm glad that you came to me at the very least to pop me a message to ask some questions. So I've got another question for you here. So a lot of people, like, obviously we've been in lockdown since February, and so some people have taken on sort of lockdown projects. Have you done any sort of projects, or?
Well, I think I made a big New Year's resolution when New Year's came around, and I told myself that I would get a lot more fit and I would start cooking a whole lot more. So when during the first 2 months of this year, I was going to the gym every other day and doing cardio on other days. So that was really good. And obviously the gym closed, and now it's just really annoying because you have to book and wipe down everything. So I'm still hesitant to go back to the gym at the moment, but I am still doing cardio pretty much every other day. Trying to run 5 kilometers in 25 minutes.
That's a decent speed.
Yeah, I'm not there yet, but I feel like it's within reaching distance, so hopefully I can get there. And cooking wise, I did cook a lot of Asian food because my family's from Hong Kong. Okay. So I did cook a lot of Asian food, but I felt like I didn't really touch Western food that much. So recently I started get a HelloFresh subscription.
Yeah.
So so it's really good how they deliver everything, and everything's already packaged, like the quantities all there, so I don't have to mess with, you know, leftovers. And yeah, it's just been really easy to get into, and my friends have given me like coupon codes and stuff, and it's actually surprisingly cheap, because you get, I feel like the package that I get, it's something around £30 a month, sorry, £30 a week, and you get 4 meals for 2 people, so which equates to 8 meals for myself.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I eat most of the week. So £30 for like food for a week, and it's actually, you know, it's really good food. It's not like cheap stuff, and they always give you extra stuff as well. Like the other day I opened the package and they just gave me a box of chocolates.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's just crazy because, you know, for me cooking was always kind of a chore, but this has made it a lot more fun because it's just really easy to get into, and like the fact that I can actually make food that I actually enjoy is just a nice feeling.
Yeah, it's a different sort of feeling, I guess. I've always been the chef in the house, and I've always really enjoyed that aspect of, like, maybe you make something like you've probably found with the HelloFresh stuff that sometimes they don't quite hit the mark, and just being able to put that little spin on it for yourself. So sort of swapping out a vegetable for something else is really it's a nice way of like changing it up a bit, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Because I pretty much eat everything. I used to be a super picky eater until I realized when I went to university that I didn't have much choice anymore. But then I realized I pretty much eat everything. The only thing I don't eat are thick slices of tomatoes.
Or what, like beef tomatoes sort of thing, or
yeah, exactly. Like I like, it's refreshing, but there's something I can't get my head around it, and I've never been a fan of ketchup either, and everyone hates me for it. But but yeah, that's the only thing I can't go over. Everything else, I'm completely good. So
there's a cable maker in the UK, a guy called Pexon. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
But he also hates ketchup, and every time I talk to him, he calls it tomato jam, because that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
So
there is a lot of sugar in ketchup as well, though, so it's not too good for you. So I'm not too mad that one of the foods I don't eat is
super high in sugar.
Yeah, super high in sugar. But yeah, that's what my I guess that's what my lockdown project has been. It's been on myself and my own diet. So
it's a very good lockdown project to have at the very least, then.
Yeah. I think it's a long time coming, obviously, because my diet's never been great. But as soon as I started cooking a lot more and eating more than just Asian food, I felt like my skin's got a lot better, and my I don't feel as bad as I do in terms of like health. So
you finding that you're waking up with more energy and
yeah, and I feel like it's just been helping me out during like cardio as well, and I've been trying to do my best to walk around as much as I can as well. So, you know, on days that I'm not running, I'm trying to walk at least like 10,000-15,000 steps.
Okay. So I won't drop you back in the car then.
I would appreciate it if you. But yeah, I've tried to do that as much as I can. So yeah, it's been good. It's been really. I wouldn't say at times it wasn't productive, because I felt because I'm quite an outgoing person. I love going out for food and stuff like that, and for drinks and stuff. So at times it was quite depressing to not be able to do that.
Yeah.
During lockdown, but I feel like I've used the time decently to work on myself, and you know, I might not have like a lot to show for it in terms of like I'm not doing like a huge like renovation project or whatever, but at least I've done something with that time.
Well, you've got your personal goals there, and so you've chipped away to get to where you want to be. So you'd be proud of that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and also at the time I was furloughed as well from my old job.
Okay.
So it was quite. I mean, everyone that I knew was like happy they were getting furloughed, because they were getting paid as well as.
Yeah, getting paid not to work as such.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna put the music back on.
Sure. But for me it was kind of scary, because I didn't have that stability, and I didn't have anything to do in the day, and I just felt like I wasn't, you know, it just wasn't fulfilling.
I think a lot of people found that. From the friends that I had who got furloughed, they were sort of finding things to do throughout the day. It's you find that work, like just having work, takes up a lot of your day and like a lot of that mental capacity.
Yeah.
And I think sitting on the sofa for the first couple of days is great, and then I think you generally get sort of a bit of a work sick almost, like you want to get back to work sort of thing.
Yeah, that really is. Yeah, it was. I mean, I've always known that I've always liked working. And obviously, everyone loves to complain about work and stuff.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's the reason why most people go to work.
Yeah, but I just but yeah, it was just for me. It was just really difficult to readjust to that kind of life.
Oh, fair enough. I mean,
but how's your work at home experience been? I mean, I'm sure it's been great, right? Because you've obviously you can both work from home.
Yeah, I mean I've always worked from home, so
okay.
For me the transition from like non-quarantine life to quarantine life hasn't been a massive one really. It's I go down to the shops an awful lot. Like that's been the main difficulty for me, is just putting the steps in place so that I can when I do have to work, it's making sure that the people that I'm working for are able to quarantine safely.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to get new computers delivered and stuff like that, and making sure that people were about and what the procedure was and stuff like that for the handover of computers and stuff like that. It was that was the main difficulty for my job. But otherwise, it hasn't really changed much for me, to be honest.
That's good.
Yeah, it's been pretty standard for me, really, if I'm honest. Busy, it's definitely been busy. But glad to not be furloughed really and continue working as normal. So
that's good. But what about your wife though? Was she working from home the whole time as well?
Or? Yeah, she's been working from home. Yeah, so she would go into the office 5 days a week, and they reduced that to no days a week. So she was working from home completely. I think a couple of weeks before the actual lockdown began.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're slowly going back to work. So she's going in a couple of days a week,
mm-hmm.
and like reduced staff and stuff like that. So I think they're handling it quite well while she's working. So
yeah, I heard a lot of companies are forcing people back and just kind of trying to get everyone in as much as possible, but I just feels to me like there just needs to be no rush.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one to try and get people to go back into the office, especially when it's so not awkward to say we need you back in the office right now to be able to be back at work sort of thing. But I think it's also looking at it from the employer's side. I think it's a bit tough because they're paying a lot of money for the offices and obviously people working at home, it's very difficult to manage people working from home, and yeah, it's a tough one really. I think it's very easy to be too harsh on your staff. So I'm just trying to work out the bottom row here. So this is just a half full set of black on white that I've got. So all I'm trying to do is just line up the spots for the switches.
Right.
So it should be. That should go in nicely now. There you go. So I'm just going to get the bottom row sorted. So for your caps lock, how would you like it? Would you like it stepped or unstepped caps? So stepped caps looks like this one here, and unstepped looks like...
Yeah, I think I'd like it unstepped.
Unstepped? Okay.
Yeah.
So unstepped.
So what is the difference in terms? Is it just like further to the left or?
Yeah, so stepped is just literally like the switches.
Oh no, I mean for the switch itself.
Oh, so there's two positions for it. So on a, you might be able to see if I pull this, pull this one up on here so you can have a look. I think I've got the unstepped in here. So you can see that the switch sits slightly further across. And one of these. So you can see this one sits in the middle,
right,
and this one sits further across. It's simply because where the stepped bit is, it would hit it otherwise, and so the switch wouldn't depress properly. And so I think stepped caps lock is sort of like a sort of an old thing that like quite a lot of the OG sort of ones they used to use. So it's just sort of something that's continued along. So that's it in place. Back up. So I'm just going to sort the bottom row out here just to make sure that we're all good, because it's very easy to mess up the bottom row.
Also.
So if you notice, if I turn this upside down, you see there's lots of pads here, and there ends up being like thousands of pads on this side, and so it's very easy to put the switch into the wrong hole.
Oh, I see.
And so you can end up finding that it's too close to the space bar, so that if you solder it down, the switch would like literally hit the space bar, or you wouldn't even be able to get the keycap on, to be fair. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some caps along here along this bottom row, just to make sure that we're happy with the layout. And it's also, you can see like this one here, I've got a blocker here, but this is using 1.5 unit, so it's 1.5 units. So this is a 1 unit key, it's using 1.5. This is 1.25. These are 1 unit, and so just to make sure that we're in the right, putting them in the right places. That's all really. Or otherwise your bottom row ends up looking a bit funky. So for the next question, so you mentioned before that you got you had a Razer board, but what sort of got you into mechanical keyboards? Because I find that there's a lot of people who just don't care about keyboards. They'll buy the £10 rubber dome keyboard from PC World, and they just don't really care. So what sort of made you go, I want to get a Razer board?
Well, at the time, it was a lot of people told me, you know, for gaming, it's a lot more responsive, and you can get a lot of features with mechanical keyboards that you don't typically get. Is the spacebar upside down?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so I run a flipped spacebar.
Okay.
The actual switch doesn't move, but
yeah.
It's slightly easier to type with.
Interesting.
I find at least, but it's one of those things that you can just flip it back.
Yeah, of course.
The other way around if you really want to.
Yeah, I think it was mainly that. It was just the performance of it, and then once I got the Black Widow, I changed up to a K95, Corsair K95, Platinum Edition. It had like 18 macro keys, number pad, and it had like all the rotary encoders and everything. It had like pretty much all the bells and whistles. But then I realized how much space it was taking up on my desk space, and I felt like I just wanted something a bit more smaller, more low key. So I ended up searching for like smaller keyboards, and I came across, you know, custom 60% keyboards, 10 keyless, TKL keyboards, and I found that like these keyboards, they look so much better, so much more aesthetically pleasing. And that's why I started looking, because I currently have an Ampro 2, and I've got everything that I was missing from the Corsair keyboard I mapped to my mouse.
Yeah.
But I just felt like I've mapped everything to my mouse, and my keyboard is just like, it's usable, it's 60%, but I really miss my F keys, and I really miss dedicated arrow keys.
You sort of got that workaround that's there, and realistically, with a mechanical keyboard, you don't really want to be working around. You can buy a board that's big enough. I mean, the 75 is going to be huge compared to a 60%, and you can go even bigger than that. You can go full size and above that if you really, really want to. So. Yeah.
But yeah, it was I did really like the 60% keyboard. I liked how compact it was, and it was just nice to, because I think I move my keyboard around a lot when I'm playing games.
Okay, so the next question that I've got for you then is, are you one of these sort of CSGO sort of style players where they're playing like that?
I wouldn't say I'm that tilted, that inclined, and that slope, but I feel like there is a slight pivot towards that direction. I feel like it's just because it's a bit more comfy for me, but I'm not one of those people that plays with my keyboard vertically. I think that's just a bit silly.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them, and the only thing that I've ever been told about that is that they can get closer to the monitor, and so you're sort of leaning into the monitor. But I do play like that. So
you
play like
it's a really bad habit, honestly. It's probably really bad for your eyes. But I just end up, when I'm playing things, I end up I just end up getting closer and closer and closer to it, and it's just a bad habit.
As the action gets more and more intense, the closer you get. Eh?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but it's something I should work on, honestly. Especially because I bought 3 screens and I'm only staring at one directly in front of me,
So you just need to get one really, really big screen.
Yeah, I did actually think about it. Because currently I run a ultra wide in the middle and then 2 standard 16:9s on the side.
Okay, that's a different sort of view to how most people go for.
Yeah, I feel like most people go for like the super ultra mega one, like the 49-inch wraparound, or they go for like individual 16:9.
Yeah, I mean, my setup 16:9 monitors.
Exactly. But I just really liked the ultra wide as a gaming monitor, and I really liked the side ones as like stuff that I keep my eye on, like Discord, social media, Spotify or whatever, and music and stuff. So I really like my side monitors.
Okay.
But I also don't want to compromise on my main gaming monitor.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds stupid, but for me, like those 49-inch Samsung wide monitors just wasn't enough real estate for me. So
yeah, I think you're the only person ever in history that said 49-inch wide ones aren't enough real estate.
Yeah, it's only recently that I've actually changed my monitors. I used to use the same aspect ratio, but I was playing on 1080p.
Okay.
But now I've changed to the side monitors are 27-inch 1440p monitors from Samsung, and then my ultra wide is a curved ultra wide Xiaomi 34-inch 1440p 144 hertz monitor. So it's got pretty much all like the gaming kind of qualities. The color accuracy is not great, but to be honest, I use the Samsung monitors for if I'm watching stuff anyway. So anything in HDR, I view on those.
It sounds like a decent setup you've got going there, at least.
Yeah, but it's mainly because of price as well. I waited a long time for prices to drop on things. And the Xiaomi monitor I got for like 350 or something.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it was really cheap. And the Samsung side ones I got for, I think when lockdown first started, they were around about 350 or 400 on Amazon. And then at one point, they dropped to 220 for some reason.
Yeah.
So I picked them up as soon as I could.
So snapped them up as soon as you saw that price.
Yeah, and then I also sold my monitors on Facebook. And I feel like a lot of people on the Facebook marketplace don't understand the prices of things because I was selling them like 1080p monitors that were used for 2 or 3 years that didn't have stands for about £80-90. And I was getting a like insane deal by selling it to them, but they just didn't realize they could have probably got like a new monitor for maybe like £20-30 more. Yeah,
from like overclockers or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like there's been a really huge demand for monitors, so that's maybe why.
Yeah, I mean, up in Glasgow, we've got a call centre up there, and the demand for headsets was nuts. For about 2 weeks, you just couldn't buy a headset. Like no, and same with webcams. There was no webcams or headsets to be found, and so I can imagine across the whole computer space, like people were going nuts for them. So you probably sold the monitors at a perfect time.
Yeah, I was really lucky. Yeah, and I did end up actually clearing out a lot of computer junk that I had, because I had like a lot of like microphones that I didn't use. I had a lot of what else did I have? I had the Apple keyboards and mice and stuff that I just have lying around. So I sold all of that on Facebook Marketplace, because I realized people just pay so much for stuff because they don't realize the price of things.
Yeah.
Which is great for me, but
yeah. I mean, you paid for your new gaming monitor, probably.
Exactly. But yeah, and I sold my DX Racer there as well, because I used to have a DX Racer, but I felt like the build quality is actually really bad.
Oh yeah.
I didn't actually buy it myself. It was my ex who bought it for me as a gift.
Okay.
Like a couple of years back, and because I really wanted it, because obviously at that time when you're like 18, 19 and you really want a gaming chair, like those DX Racers that were on everyone's mind at that time.
Yeah.
Because there were nothing else out there,
Yeah, DX Racer was the one that was sort of like sponsoring all of the top streamers at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I really wanted one then. But then when I got it, I realized, the fake leather, like it wears away a lot, and also the build quality is just it's really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've always thought about getting one. I've got this like mesh chair, and now you're saying that, I'm like, maybe I'll give it a miss. So I'm just going to change the. We're going to listen to some chill top music.
Yeah. I mean, the DX Racer it was nice at the start, but I didn't realize how bad the quality was until I sat on other rival chairs. You know, other chairs other chair makers that were also in the gaming space. So I settled with like a Secret Labs chair because they make really good. They do a lot of partnerships with people. Like they have like a Game of Thrones one, they have a Fnatic one, a Riot one, and they're like the official league sponsors as well. So I tried one of those, and I realized they were so comfy. And at the time, I think it was during Christmas or something. They had like some deal on for like £50 off. So I ended up going for it, and yeah, never looked back. The build quality is so much better, and it just felt so much better, and looked a lot nicer than DX Racer chairs.
I think I actually had a look at one of theirs at one point, because they've got some really, really expensive ones, if I remember rightly. Like you can spend like £600-700 on one of these chairs. But I was looking at those, and I think the other brand was like Noble Chair. But now that you're saying that, I might have a look at them again.
Yeah. I mean, if I think it really depends on person to person, because this is really subjective, right? And obviously there's different size chairs, and I think I went for the small or medium one because I'm not a huge guy. But there's just a lot of space, and I remember the first time I got it, my dad, who's like 5'4", he sat in the chair and he looked like a kid because the chair was so big for him, even though it was one of the smallest ones.
Yeah.
So I think it really depends on person to person, but yeah, I'm really glad that I went for the Secret Labs, and because they look a bit more slightly less like gamey as well.
Yeah. I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
Which actually, I'll tap into a point that we had earlier. What do you think of the latest gen graphics cards? Every single one that I've looked at looks like it's been like slapped with a gamified look.
Oh right.
Every single one, like you look at the the MSI one, it's got RGB all over it, and then you look at the KFA 2, and it's got like Know Your Game written down the side of it.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that's like a big thing at the moment, like across all like spaces in tech, like keyboards, and do you think there's this like gamer aspect still there, or do you think it's slowly like people like getting to that more refined feel?
Well, I feel like when the market has two kind of corners, right? One where maybe the younger demographic likes that kind of gaming feel that separates them from the kind of like corporate industrial kind of looking products. But for me, I like a lot more the minimalistic ones, so I've always liked the Founders Edition graphics cards a lot more. And I feel like the recent ones, I can't remember which company it was, but I saw one 3080 and it had literally looked like it had like glitter on it.
Oh yes, yeah, I know the one. Yeah,
I think it was like Palette or something.
I can't remember the name of the brand. It's got like rhinestone sort of thing on it.
It looked like a toy.
Yeah.
And who's gonna pay £700-800 for something that looks like that? For me, that's just I don't think that's just completely out of touch with your demographic, isn't it?
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think the mechanical keyboards have seen it quite a lot. We've obviously quite a lot of the sort of not low end boards, but the Razors and your more entry level ones like the GMMK and stuff like that. They're definitely targeting that sort of like gamer aspect. But I think the way that things have gone, like with Tfue obviously buying his board, getting his board custom made and stuff like that, I think we've gotten into this age of like probably a lot of that younger demographic now are getting into that sort of like business corporate sort of like minimalist look a bit quicker. So I don't know if it's like almost turning on its head, like the high end stuff is now becoming a bit more gimmicky and the low end stuff is becoming simpler and sleeker almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I would like the high end stuff just to look you know, more low key. But I understand people who want to have that kind of like show off kind of aspect to what they spend their money on. So I do get it, but for me, it's like no one's gonna see my computer but me.
Yeah.
And I just really prefer the Founders Edition stuff. At the start, when they leaked the Founders Edition, I thought it looked really stupid, the graphics card. But then it's really grown on me. Now that I've seen like, you know, renders of it and how it looks in person, and obviously the value and everything. But the other branded 3080s and stuff, they just don't look as good. But I do understand that, you know, when it comes to performance, they're probably better because of the higher clock speeds.
I think the 3080 Founders Edition or the 3070 Founders Edition, I think they're going to sell out extremely quickly because it's such a different design. It is a hugely different design to normal, and
yeah. I really did like the old Founders Edition as well because they were sleek and it kind of showed off, but it wasn't too obnoxious.
Well, I had I was trying to buy one on eBay literally the weekend before the 30 series cards got released, and I had an offer for I think the guy had it up for 800 quid, and I put an offer in for 750 or something like that for a 2080 Ti Founders Edition, and he rejected it the day before the announcement, and I'm so glad that he rejected it now.
Yeah.
But those cards look so good. They're really, really nicely made. But as you say, it's just such a different look. These new cards, I think they're quite polarizing.
Yeah, definitely.
The only thing that puts me off of the new cards is the position of the power connect, like the power connector on
in the
top.
middle.
Yeah. I've always been into custom like building computers and stuff like that, and so I make my own. I sleeve my own cables and stuff like that, and so running it that sort of like all the way across for me it would look a bit strange. I think it was the only thing that put me off of actually buying one. But I also I water cool my computers and stuff like that, and so like the weird size card, because it's a cut down card, isn't it?
Yeah.
It would mean you have a cut down block, and so the whole loop of your water cooled system would look a little bit weird because it's such a small component in comparison to the CPU now. That's the only things that put me off. It's purely aesthetic, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that worries me a bit too. But thankfully, the computers that I build and I like are like mini ITX cases. So you don't really get to see the insides of the computers.
Yeah, you hide them off because the cable management is like.
Yeah, exactly.
You shut the side panel and don't expect to open it again.
Pretty much. But yeah, I do prefer like the kind of super minimalistic look, and you know I do like the Lian Li, you know, cases that show off all your components in tempered glass. I think that's really nice. But for me, you know, there's not a lot of space in my room, so I do like to keep it low key, and you know there are, you know, cooling restraints and stuff like that with smaller cases, but for me I'm not drawing too much power anyway, so I'd much prefer that, you know, sleek aesthetic and small.
Sort of small footprint, and
yeah, so I was a bit worried about how big the new graphics cards are, so I think the 3080 is actually a 3-slot.
Yeah, it's between 2 and 3 slots from what I can see.
Yeah, so it wouldn't actually fit in.
It wouldn't fit in.
Yeah.
So the 3080 and the 3090 are definitely off the table for you.
Pretty much.
The 3090 is like 4.5 slots or something stupid.
The thing is huge. I've honestly, like, I don't know how they're gonna fix like the graphics card sag in computers, because it's gonna.
Stupid amount of weight.
Yeah.
They're literally gonna have to come with their own like sag brackets and stuff like that to stop it.
Yeah, I've seen like quite a few creative workarounds to that. I've seen loads of people put like, you know, action figures and stuff like holding up the graphics card.
Yeah. I'm sure probably you can find somewhere that sells like miniature sag brackets that have got like characters and stuff, like you said. Like, I'm sure that there'll be a website dedicated for that sort of thing nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm just going to double check to make sure everything's soldered in place, but I think all soldered together, except for the caps hotkey. I'm just going to go through and check and just make sure everything is soldered, and then we should be able to put this together. I'm going to have to pull some keycaps off of one of the boards behind us to be able to put down. I'm probably going to pick the black on white set that's there.
Cool.
I think that'll look nicest with grey. Three switches. So for the next question, we haven't got a key set here today. So what have you decided to go for key set wise, so the other guys know and what you're going for?
Yeah, so I got the Shoko R2, just because I really like the kind of blue theme and the slightly pastel colours. I feel like they're quite nice in my kind of grey theme setup at home. So that's what I've gone for. I feel like some sets look really nice, but I feel like it's quite difficult to have both the keycap set that you like and that fits with your aesthetic as well. Because I really like to have everything themed. So that's why I went for that set. But unfortunately, it's going to take another 6-7 months or something to get here. So unfortunately, I don't have them now. But eventually, when I do get them and I put them on this keyboard, I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, that'll be excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful key set at the end of the day. It's like you could always, if you're already into the group buy, there's no point. But you could have bought the round one set, but you would have paid aftermarket prices.
Yeah.
And you can spend a lot of money on aftermarket prices. So
yeah, that's true.
Just checked it all across, and it all looks good. So these are all soldered in place. So we've got nice joints all the way along. So it's all looking good. So I haven't been checking chat for a little while, but. So Jampot asks, for Alex, did Matt reach out to you, or was it the other way around?
I think I reached out to you.
Yeah, I think you did. I think you sent me a message asking. I think it was just general keyboard questions. I think.
Yeah, I was. It was quite a friendly community when I joined the Discord, and I think at the time you were just quite active, so I decided to message you. And you said you were interested in building a keyboard, so I thought I'd come to you. And I'm glad I did, obviously. Because obviously a lot of people did message me about it as well, but a lot of them were in America, a lot of them were, scattered around everywhere. So yeah, it was just convenient since you were quite close to me.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway.
I mean, you're only in London and I'm just south of London, so I'm going to put this in the case first, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put the keycaps on it first.
Cool.
Daniel asks, is this a customer board? And yes, this is Alex the customer. Okay, so let's get this out. So I'm just going to place it back in here a second. I want to get the rubber case feet on it first.
Cool.
So we don't,
protect it.
yeah, it'll just sit it up a little bit. Don't want to damage it. First time you see the board fully built. So obviously I'll give this a wipe down afterwards. I've got some isopropyl alcohol in the drawer. Right, so the focus of the camera seems to be all over the place today. Some dust on the sensor or something.
So how do you have the camera? Do you have like a Elgato camera link?
Yeah, I've got the Elgato Camlink 4K,
okay.
and it just connects up to it, and it's been quite a good little system actually. I've used the camera that we're getting shown on here, the little webcam, for the overhead camera a few times, and realised that the quality's not great, if I'm honest. It's not the greatest quality in the world, and so being a photographer, as well as an IT person, I realised that I wanted something a little bit better, quality-wise. So that's been the big upgrade for me, really.
It's so satisfying to see all the keycaps just.
Yeah, in a nice quality as well. At least. Okay, let's see what we've got to do here.
I think it does unscrew from the back.
Yeah, I've got to take the top off at
Yeah.
the very least. So I might just take the foam out of this. I just don't want the top of the keyboard or anything like that touching the desk, so that it doesn't damage it. I think it's got a couple of screws just holding the top piece in place. Because we need to get the acrylic out and be able to put the peel the layer of acrylic off.
Yeah.
Like the protective layer of it off.
So I used to have a ultra wide desk mat as well, but I felt like I wasn't actually making that much use of it. So I've since bought an artisan mouse pad just for my mouse.
Okay.
So my keyboard doesn't actually sit on anything at home; it just sits straight on my desk. Do you think that would be? Is that not wise to do?
You get a better sound from using like a desk mat with it, because you're not getting the reverberations through. I personally use one, and I don't know if you've ever watched Teja Types.
Yeah.
Like if you ever watch any of his typing tests, he's got about 6 desk mats underneath there. So I think personally I'd go for one, but it's up to you on like what you've like. Give it a try when you get home. Like give it a type on and see if it's the right sort of sound that you want. So I'm just gonna unpeel this.
But in terms of like, would I damage the case of the keyboard, do you think?
No.
Oh,
You
okay.
no, not unless you've got stuff like you've like knocked stuff onto the desk or something like that. And no, it wouldn't damage the case at all.
That's good to know then.
Yeah, the main reason that people use desk mats is that you get a certain amount of vibration go through to the through from the keyboard, and it can change the sound profile. So by putting a desk mat under, you can lose quite a lot of that ping sort of sound that you would normally get. And because they're cheap, it makes a desk look a bit more complete. People generally buy them. I mean, I can send you some links afterwards for some nice desk mats if you want.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I've seen quite a few nice looking ones online, but I just didn't really know, how, what would really look nice, and I really feel like I like looking, I like feeling the desk mat before buying it, so it's kind of annoying that I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got my desk mat down here, so you can at least try that one out. But I guess one thing that you'll probably find if you're like gaming at a high level is the level of drag that your mouse has and stuff like that. You'll probably find that there is a lot more drag using a big desk mat. Then again, you might find it slightly smoother as well. Okay, so what we've got to do, the way that this works is it screws down into you screw it down into the case.
Right.
So these are the actual case screws, and these are the screws for placing the plate and PCB into the case. Lots and lots of screws, but I don't think we have to use all of them. So you can see the way that it mounts. So you've got all of these mounting points, and they all mount through.
Right.
The only downside to this usually is, they're magnetic. That's good. Normally the stuff from KBD fans isn't magnetic, and so you end up dropping one in there and it's gone.
Oh, right.
You're then having to miracle it out.
God.
There. Yeah. Okay. Let's just get this all lined up. We're getting close to being finished now, at least. And so, for a final question, I understand that I've built you this board and everything like that,
Mhm.
but have you ever had a dream combo? Like, if money's no object here, you're faker and you're getting paid vast sums of money and people are giving you stuff at the end of the day.
Probably the white satisfaction 75. Like nothing really beats that for me anyway. And that with the same switches and probably but I don't think I could ask for any more when it comes to the keyboards. I think the satisfaction really just does everything, other than obviously Bluetooth. But that's it's kind of difficult to have in custom keyboards.
yeah, with a massive. Unfortunately, with custom keyboards, you literally have to have the antenna on the outside.
Exactly.
Yeah, you get no reception whatsoever from it.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much what I would. How about you?
Okay. I've always wanted a key colt. I'd love a key colt.
Oh yeah.
The only thing that I'd ever want is an ISO key colt.
Do they not do ISO keyboards?
No, they're fixed. They're normally fixed ANSI layouts, and it's always been the one thing that's like put me off of ever joining one of their raffles is I can't get the board that I want.
Yeah.
And it's really sort of frustrating because I'd love to be able to buy one, but I'm just not going to spend all of that money. So you can see that it's only using like half the mounting points. So one there, there, and there. So obviously if you use a different plate, I guess if you use a full ANSI plate, you'll probably have some more mounting points there.
Mm-hmm.
So only had to use half the screws. So I'll bag up the other screws for you, so you can use them in other places. But just make sure that this sits in place. It's looking a little bit. Oh no, it's in place. It's just looking a little wonky. That's all. Oh no, there is a lip all the way around, so it's alright. Okay, so I'm going to just grab this piece of foam. I'll move this one out of the way, sorry. I just need to be able to flip the whole thing over.
Yeah.
And screw in from the other side. So we've got these little silver screws here. So the silver screws go on this bit. But so for what is your ultimate key set? If you didn't have to sit in any group buys, anything like that, what would be the key set for this mystical board that we're buying?
For me, I feel like most of the popular key sets I'm actually not a fan of. Like the GMK dots and the Metropolis ones. I'm actually not a huge fan of those ones. I feel like they're a bit too
gimmicky.
Yeah, not just that, but I feel like there's just too much stuff on them.
Okay.
I feel like there's too many colours going on, and it's just not really my taste. But I understand why people like them. But there was a group buy that I really regret missing out on. I think it was called GMK Ash.
Okay, yeah.
It was just that really clean monochrome kind of.
I think it's either GMK Ash or Ashes, I think.
Yeah. To be honest, there was nothing really special about it. It was just that for me, it was just everything my taste is, and yeah, that's that. It was just very simple, and that's what I like. But it wasn't anything crazy expensive or super rare out there. Yeah.
No, I think for me, I think my ultimate key set is probably like Modern Dolce or something like that. Again, like super minimal, and I think we sort of fall into those same sort of categories of like wanting like something that's not like super in your face. And I've seen a lot of key sets recently that are like, I guess I'd class them as super ugly because they are just too many colours, too much going on. It's like you can see like I've got a red and black scheme. I've got like very light schemes, and then I've got a yellow one there.
I really like those teal accents on that keycap set. I think it's really nice.
Yeah, so that's DSA Light Cycle. So it's all based around the Tron movies.
Oh, okay. think I'm a bit too young to watch the Tron movies, but I understand why people like them though. Yeah.
Yeah, Tron's my favourite film. Okay, so there is the board. So the board is together. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some keycaps. So I'm going to be ripping them off of this one.
What about the stabilizer bars on the spacebar and enter keys and stuff? How do they?
Oh, you mean how do they work?
Because isn't there? Are they already in there?
Yeah,
okay.
These are the stabilizers. They're already in.
Oh,
so they're
okay.
One of the first things that we put in. So all that they're doing is they're just, because of the longer keys, they're just making sure it's not wobbling about all over the place.
Right. Okay.
So, and this is one of the bits where you sort of just want to work them in. That sounds very smooth to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, off stream after this is built, I'll get this cleaned up, and then you can give this a full test. Make sure that you're happy with it. Number one. Albeit they're both extremely smooth.
So I guess you prefer the ISO key layout as well then, since most of your boards are.
Yeah, I've grown up on ISO layout stuff, and I try to use ANSI every now and again.
Yeah.
I just can't get used to it, and I don't know if it's a real problem really at the end of the day, but finding ISO stuff nowadays is much more difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
And it definitely limits what I'm able to purchase and what I'm able to use, which is unfortunate, but buy what you like at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah, I felt like that was one of the big things for me, because I just much preferred an ISO keyboard, and it was just annoying to me that I had to keep switching from workplace to home. So yeah, that kind of really gated what I could pick up on as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame really that there isn't more ISO stuff, and to be fair, the whole ISO ANSI split that we seem to have in the community at the moment is making things more difficult. But hopefully soon we'll be able to find an even compromise, and everybody able to get keycaps that they want. And
yeah, but I guess it's just because the scene is probably a lot bigger in America than it is in the UK.
Yeah, it's much bigger.
Have you ever thought about going to those mechanical keyboard conventions and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so I used to run the one that was in London.
Oh, really?
I used to do all of the setup for that, and so we used to have meetups. There is currently one scheduled for London, so we will be coming up there maybe soon. But obviously, with all of the COVID restrictions and stuff like that, we might well be postponing that, depending on what happens. I mean, I'd love to be able to go to one of the ones in America, like KeyCon or something like that.
Yeah, it blows my mind that there's a convention for it. I'd really love to go and just see what's out there, and obviously just be able to use and test other people's keyboards and stuff as well. Because I think for most people it's quite scary, because obviously they haven't tested other switches and other people's keyboards and seen what it's like, and they just see it online, and you can do sound tests and stuff, but you never really get a feel for it until you actually type on it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a case, is that I think a lot of people, they like the idea of a mechanical keyboard, and then for instance when you came to me, you were asking, how does this feel, what about this, and I think there's an awful lot of those questions in the community of what about this, and it's a big investment of money at the end of the day into something that realistically that you don't a lot of people who first join the community don't really know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
I've had an awful lot of people say, oh, I want Tifu's board, and then you say, okay, that's £3,500 starting price.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go from there? And then they realise very quickly it's not a couple £100 here and there. It's you can throw, I mean, the NovelKey Creams switches. You can throw £100 at them and get 100 switches, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money for some people. But yeah, the one in London will be good. If it does go ahead, it'll be nice to be able to run.
Yeah, I think if everything calms down, then I might be interested in something like that. But I think obviously the government's banned more than 6 people meeting up nowadays, isn't they? So
yeah, and I think there was 150. I think there was 150 people who'd bought tickets for it at the moment. So
oh wow.
Yeah, I think more than likely it's probably going to be a no-go. But what can you do at the end of the day?
Yeah.
I'm going to not put this in the same layout that we've got. Alexa, stop. Why are you telling us about One Direction all of a sudden? Sorry guys.
Interesting.
Yeah, she just suddenly started there. I'm just going to put some more music on. I'm going to listen to some jazz type music. Okay, I'm not going to put them in the correct order, so I'm just going to put just for testing. Sounded very good though.
Yeah, I really like the sound of it. So what made you discover that reversing the spacebar felt better for you?
I don't know. Somebody said, have you tried to flip spacebar once upon a time? And I thought, oh, that's such a silly thing. And then tried it, and then it just feels, I don't know what it is, it just feels more natural. Because I generally find that when I'm typing, I rest my thumbs like that.
Yeah.
And having it flipped means that you haven't got that sort of sharp edge. You're tapping down onto it. It feels a bit better. I mean, it might be something you might want to try. I personally really like it. And the only thing that doesn't have a flipped spacebar is this board, and that's because it's Alps, and you can't really flip the spacebar that easily.
Right.
So for my testing here, I'm going to have it flipped. Sounds perfect. You've got a better sounding spacebar than I have. So I've just got to find all of the keys in here now. So there will be I'm going to do a typing test on this board after we finish. And that should only takes a minute or two to actually do the typing test. So that others can have a listen to how good your board sounds and how good it looks as well.
How many keycap sets do you have, out of curiosity?
1, 2, all of these, and then I've got 4 keycap sets coming.
Oh wow, so a lot.
Yeah, just a few.
What did your wife think of this hobby?
She's getting into it. I bought her the board that's there just before lockdown, and she's been using that pretty much constantly. So you saw it's a Vermillo, but she's been slowly stealing my artisan keycaps to use for herself. So that's actually been the only downside for me, really.
Yeah.
Is that I've been slowly but surely losing artisans. You having a look at the Pokemon ones?
Yeah, I think they're really cute.
Yeah, do you want and have a look at some others?
Oh wow.
A few more Pokemon ones
So
there.
many. Oh, Futurama as well.
Yeah, there's Bender Cap in there.
like the portal cube ones. Those are really cute.
Yeah, so that was originally for me and my wife. So I was going to get the blue one, she was going to get the pink one, but she gets frustrated at playing Portal.
I feel like it's a really rewarding game though. I used to play it with my best friend all the time, and yeah, it was really nice.
Just giving them a quick test, but they feel all good. Yeah, they feel great. So what I'm going to do is we're going to lose this board. We're going to plug your board in and we're going to try switch it in, and we're going to make sure that all of the switches work as they need to. So we've got a lovely bit of RGB going there. And then obviously we've got to give them the sound test. So obviously this isn't going to work quite as seamlessly. So what's this one? Oh, this was the backlight toggle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's end, that's
Volume.
volume down, volume up, mute,
Yep.
delete,
Yep.
print screen. Just go through all these quickly. Just let me know if there's any ones missing. Oh, don't touch that back off. So the only one that doesn't show up is that one.
Yeah.
It's putting them in different orders, that's all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There we go. And then if we do, should disconnect. That's disconnected. So the board's now gone into the reset mode. So
Yeah.
I'll just plug it, unplug it, and replug it. But it's all looking good. So these
Cool.
are all working. So you can see that it's working there. Left shift as well, up and down. So we're all good.
Cool. Perfect.
So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to do a quick typing test.
Yeah.
So so the guys can get an idea on how this sounds. So the only thing that I need is I need my little wooden wrist rest. And what is it? 10 fastest fingers. There we go. Move that out of there. Sure, there's a bit of setup for 10 fastest fingers. My cousin Ben has come in. Hey Ben, how you doing? So 10 fastest fingers. Oh, seems to have broken itself somehow there. Transform. I can never remember how to do this. No.
I think it's under filters, if I remember correctly.
You're probably going to be better than this than me. Filters. Where's filters?
Down one.
There we go.
Oh, maybe not.
Is it Alt?
Or if you reset the transform. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's just Alt that you got to press.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh shit. Okay, we'll leave it as that. You guys can see all of this, can't you? Bring it down a little. I'm very well, thanks, Ben. How are you doing? This is Alex here, by the way. So let's give a typing test. So I'm just going to move all of this over to the other screen so I can get a pain in the ass, isn't it? Okay, they can see the typing test. I've got to be able to just see the window, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to see the worst performance of typing. I'm sorry, you're going to see this firsthand. forgotten. I've got to mute the desktop audio. They're listening to music at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to take this off of here as well. Place this onto the desk. Okay. You guys should just be able to hear the microphone. I'm just going to pull the microphone down a little. Okay, let's give that a try. Okay, so. Ah! Mm, 64 words per minute. I can do better, but we'll leave it to that. But there you go, guys. So the board is fully built. And that's the quick typing test. There'll be obviously a proper typing test. We'll remove all of the clutter and I'll do a nice typing test after this, so you guys can get to hear it properly. But that's the build complete, really.
Yeah.
And I hope you're happy with it. I'll get it all cleaned down and then you can have a type on it, see what you think and feel about it. And we'll get the windows open because it's boiling in here.
Cool. Sounds good.
But again, thanks guys for coming and watching. I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and I hope, Alex, you've enjoyed at least watching firsthand how it's built and
Yeah, really happy.
seeing your keyboard built. So, but guys, thank you very much for coming and joining us, and we'll see you soon. See you later.